Blue life. Hello and welcome to Jabberjaw. I'm your host, Jessica Dawson Collier, and with me as always is Tyson Wheeler Dynas and Matthew David Smith. Guys, welcome to a whole new world
It's
that we've
Disney
lived
song
in
has
before.
never been more inappropriate than right fucking now. They should have played that. Maybe they should play that instead of the Cohen song this week on SNL.
They should.
You guys remember that? Yeah,
the Hail to the Chief?
No. The Cohen song that she did? She came out and sang on piano after Hillary lost in 2016.
Yeah. Let's hope we don't see any
That was
of
a
that.
good cry. I remember that.
That was a good cry. Yeah, we all needed that. That made it okay.
Is it bad that I cried more when Hillary lost than when Kamala lost?
Oh, not at all. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
We've been through it before. We've seen this happen before. It's like we should have learned something.
Built that
somehow.
callus. Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, we definitely built up a callus. That was hard. This was also hard. That was.
I don't know. It was still a little hard, but there's such a. I know. You guys know, but I think most people looking outside in would think that I'm not an optimist as such, but that really does take over on election nights. I'm like, come on, stupid fucking county in some fucking swing state. Get your shit together, like Steve Kanaki's like doing all his shit. And I'm like, come on, Steve.
Yeah. He's like, I want that dude to deliver all the bad news, like in my life. Like that's just like he just has this way. Like he's not outwardly, he's not saying it so much, but he's saying it. Like if you can kind of read when I love that the NBC is they know that lightning bottle when they see it. They trot him out to everything. He does Sunday Night Football. He does the Olympics. He would do a cooking show if they had one. I mean, like they're just like you just need 52% more oil in this mix of oil and garlic, and like, I just love watching him work up. And he, it's like if you can decipher what he's saying, because it sounds like if you don't know and you just hear him, he's like, this county was 52%. And it's like it's 2,000 extra people from 2020 to 2024, and he's like, and really what he's saying is, Democrats lost all these fucking votes. Can you believe this shit? But he's not saying it. Exactly. But he is saying it. You're saying it. If you know, you're sad.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard to get that in like a bar. If you're just watching that in a bar, it's hard to but no, if when you're watching it at home, stuffing your face with Doritos, as I know Dawson and I were. Well, that was so nice. Sorry.
Smith and I hopefully Doritos will actually sponsor this episode, because I definitely spent quite a bit of money on Doritos this last week.
The fact that we both had the thought to go out and buy Doritos was probably, they should, like, that's kind of like the Waffle House metric for floods. They should use the Dorito index for impending doom.
It's true.
But we'll talk about that. I've got a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, we'll talk about all the stuff.
Let's talk about you, Tyson, because you're blue,
you're looking very blue.
Vegas.
Yeah.
As I said, the blue wave is coming in late. I am actually currently in a hotel room. It's not even a hotel room, right? It's like a condominium, I guess. It's a 3-bedroom apartment, really, is what it is.
Like a timeshare? Is that kind of timeshare?
It's the Wyndham Blue Desert. And I guess this is fitting, because it doesn't look blue around here, but it does.
But it just transmits that way.
Yeah, it really. So I don't know. That's some kind of vibe they got going on here. But and I am literally, we're on the 17th floor, so I am looking out over the main strip over there. I'd show you guys, but I'm not going to, because whatever.
It's all right.
Get your own goddamn
describe
timeshare.
Describe it in detail.
Let us live sort of vicariously through you describing.
There.
Hey, Viva Las Vegas!
Now, if I could have figured out a way to set this up so that was in the background, and I would do the closing 2 weeks in a row, but I couldn't get it to work, and I didn't want to try that hard. I would have had to move this bed, and then it's the whole thing. So, but yeah, so we
not going to do it. Not going to go there.
I was in Massachusetts. We bred the dog. I think we talked about that. We went to Vermont on my birthday. We ended up we had no particular destination. We just wanted to be in Vermont, and I think Beth wanted just some shirt that said Vermont on it. Bar was set very low. And we ended up there, in the southernmost town, Brattleboro, I think. And then she had found we stopped at like a rest area that had a welcome hut, had all these brochures. Anyway, so she found something called a sugar house, which is essentially, it was a farm that did maple syrup. So we got a tour of the maple syrup farm and how they made it, and it was pretty interesting. We spent
That's really cool, actually.
It was interesting. I had no idea it was like thousands of miles of piping that they had between all these trees, and they tap them once, sometimes twice if it's a really old tree, and it just slowly oozes out. And it takes 40 gallons of maple syrup from the sap to make 1 gallon of actual maple syrup.
Yeah, it's a lot. I just researched this recently because we've got a bunch of some maple trees, and I was like, oh yeah, because I'm thinking about all those things I'm going to do, once I leave civilized life behind. And I was like, honey and maple syrup, but it's, oh my god, it's a shit ton of work. Like it is so much work. Like it's a labor of love. So,
they were a dairy farm up until like 2008, and then they'd always made maple syrup, and they just switched over because they could make more money doing this.
Interesting.
It was interesting. It's called Robb Brothers, ROBB Brothers, and it's just outside of Brattleboro in Vermont. If you want to look it up, but it looked like a ton of work. I was like, oh, and I ended up talking to a guy, actually the guy who co-owned the dog that we bred to. I met him that night and he said he has friends that do that. He said they waste ludicrous amounts of their time every year. He said, in fact, one of his buddies, because you have to boil it down. It takes so long, and you have to just keep adding the sap into it. He said that his garage got water damage in the ceiling and fell apart because there was so much water coming off the stove.
All the moisture from the steam. Oh, wow.
Anyway.
I've learned that the hard way. Yeah.
Anyway.
Good to know. Probably save me some time there.
I don't know if I sent you guys pictures, but I'll send you some pictures. Anyway, so we did that, and then we came back, and then we left Saturday, and we drove up, and we clocked in just in time to go see Niagara Falls, which was amazing. Everyone should see that for at least 15 minutes like we did. And then we got the hell to Erie, Pennsylvania, and then we drove home the next day. So
very nice.
We got back, and then a day later I got on a plane and came to Vegas with my parents and my sister, and I stayed home with the dog so she can settle in and get her little puppies growing. And so we're here. I still can't lift more than 10 pounds. I'm a burden to myself and others. It's great. But it's okay. Everybody's being nice about it, so that's good. And,
that is good.
So
how much money have you won or lost as of right now?
I think I am probably $52 up.
Okay.
Nice. All
right. Good.
That's winning. That's about it for me. I play video poker. I have been playing Deuce as well, and I play $1 and a quarter a hand. So
you do? Okay.
So I end up playing for. Anyway, I got a royal flush last night, and I just cashed out immediately.
Yes.
And so
nice.
So, but not a royal flush with a wild card. So it wasn't like amazing, but it was good. It was enough to cash out. So anyway, and then I just stopped for a minute, and you gotta keep playing, or anyway, they'll kick you off the bar if you don't stay there. If you don't play. So anyway, so
yeah, they will. They've done it to me many times.
They're just like, you gotta go somewhere else. But so it's kind of a standing joke. Vegas is my mom's favorite town in the world. She loves this town. So she loves it so much that she loses her phone every time we've been here. So 2 trips ago, she left the phone in, I think, the Golden Nugget. She just got up and wandered off because she was so excited with she literally glazes over and she's like, the lights and the noises. It's adorable, but you have to keep an eye on her because she'll disappear. 2 times ago, she left the phone, but somebody answered it. We called it, and somebody just was like, hello? so we found it that time. The last time she lost it again, the last time we were here, she lost her phone in another casino. I don't think we ever found it that time. Anyway, we land here in Vegas. We get in the car. We get in an Uber. Go to wherever we are. The Wyndham. Get up to the room. And Mom goes, could somebody call my phone? I don't know where it is. And so Sally calls, and some guy goes, hello? And and Sally's like, oh, you must have my mom's phone. And he's like, oh, I think I probably do. Somebody handed it to me. They found it in the bathroom. She's like, well, would you bring it up? And he's like, well, I'm at the airport, so I can't. And so anyway, Officer Mike, I can't remember exactly. Anyway, so we went downstairs, we got an Uber, and he came out from ticketing in Delta and handed the phone to us in the Uber and gave it to us, and then we were off to the casino where we didn't lose it yet. So we had 3 more days to lose the phone again. So I
anticipate it'll happen again.
I think so. Yeah. So Sally's wallet fell out.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's impressive, actually.
It is. I texted Beth. I said, new record.
That's good. That's good stuff.
Someone else who's sort of notorious for misplacing items. I can appreciate that. I was thinking about other stuff.
Yeah, I told her, I said, we're going to get you some AirPods. We're going to put one on your person and one on your phone, and we're going to track you, but just as an update, so this is kind of funny. We always go to Ellis Island. Now, we always stay at the same Wyndham place, but there's 3 Wyndhams in Vegas now, so we're staying at a new one. But the old one we used to stay at was a block away from Ellis Island, which is this tiny little local casino where everybody goes. So after the guy Ubered us to the airport, we asked him to take us to Ellis Island. He was laughing at us so much. We were entertaining him. He didn't even charge us, which was really nice of him. He just took us. He didn't.
That is nice. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's really nice. We Uber drivers either really like us or really hate us because we don't have an off switch. We just get folksy and dynasty and anyway. So some people love it and some people don't. And so we anyway, Ellis Island has gone completely modern. So all the food and everything used to cost $1 for a beer. Now it's $5.50. Steak and eggs was $2.99. Now it's $22.99. And all the slot machines, the old ones, are gone. So it was collectively decided that we were all sad, and then we decided to go to the old strip because that's the only place where Mom can find the machines that she likes. That and Circus, we were told. Circus is the other place where you can find the old bar bandit machines.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what she likes to play. And when we found some last night, she made like $500. So,
Oh my God.
Nice.
Yeah,
way to go, Rita.
She knows what to do. And she was playing a quarter machine, so she's doing all right.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
She's got a little lady luck on her side. I'm into it. That's great.
She can't win on those new machines, but she knows her stuff on the old stuff. So.
Did you introduce her to Buffalo or no?
I played Buffalo. I said that that was the first thing I did. I put $20 in. I couldn't find one that would allow me to play quarters. The cheapest one I could find was 75 cents. So it just burned through.
That's weird.
Super fast.
Yeah.
And also, none of us understand how you win those games because it'd be like there's 3 buffaloes and an eagle, and one of the eagle winked at me. Is that good or bad? I don't know. So.
Yeah, that's kind of the magic of Buffalo. They're all very different. But when you start to hear the stampede, you're in luck. You're probably going to get like 5 free games or 8 free games. And then you hear the eagle and it's like, oh yeah, I'm winning, I think. Yeah.
I did laugh out loud when 2 tigers winked at me and an eagle winked at me. I thought that was very strange. And but I did yell stampede or something like that. Sally made me take a video of it. She's like, do it for Dawson. I'm like, okay.
Yay! Thanks, Sally. High five, girlfriend.
Anyway, but since then I have not played any slots. I just and I probably will play. I'll try to find a quarter machine before I leave. The guy, we've heard 2 things, interestingly enough, and I've heard both these things. People say don't play at the airport, but a guy who was he said that the airport's paying out more than any place else in town.
I would agree with that guy. Jonas made like $300 at the airport when we were there in May.
Yeah, so I don't. So, but apparently they publish the winnings locally, like on a weekly basis, and this guy happened to read it, and he was like, "The airport is the biggest paying out place in town." So just
That's
something for you people.
Really, no reason to leave the airport at all. Just
pretty
fly
much,
to Vegas,
yeah. I mean,
stay in the airport.
If they had a
fly back home,
yeah, why not?
Yeah. That's enough. Let's get on to our new national nightmare here. And it's not.
Well, before we do that, Smith, have you done?
Hell of a segue, Tyson. Thank you. Our new national nightmare.
New national nightmare.
I wish I was hoping to become the old national nightmare, but such it was. No, just real quick. We went to Chicago to go see the B-52s.
Yes.
They were purportedly their final tour. We'll see. They've been kind of doing like kind of a mini residency in Vegas for the last few months, and they were doing like 3 or 4 shows. They did like Chicago, and then I think they were back in Athens for a night, and just kind of a spotty show. It was good. It was not amazing. Fred Schneider could have given a fuck, which was kind of like anytime the main guy is just not really that into it. It just does kind of detract, because you're like, and again, I get it. Like, it's hard to be on like all the time, but it was like, I mean, they celebrated it like it was like their last show. Like they all like hugged, and they had like a little kind of video screen banner fall down at the end. But that was good. I mean, they played most of the stuff. Didn't play. They do
Love Shack. Was he just fuck this? Yeah.
But not as the encore. The encore was Rock Lobster, which I would have thought Love Shack was that. Yeah.
Wow.
That makes sense.
But it did make sense. That's probably a bigger long-term hit. But no, it was really good. We stayed in a really nice hotel. We got a free upgrade.
But you had a not so nice thing in the hotel, as I recall.
Oh, that's true. So as soon as we arrived, Kathy, she was eagle eye on this. Like, she's like, you got to send a picture, because everyone, as soon as someone sees a creepy doll, they're like, we got to send this to Dawson, because it's funny that way.
No, that's going to be my legacy, honestly. I do have a headstone, it's just going to have a bunch of creepy dolls all over it. Like, fuck.
No, there was some Barbie doll. I don't know if Barbies look like that now. Maybe they do, but no, it was just like a Barbie doll missing a sandal, and it was just like kind of behind the bathroom.
It was a little creepy. I know. Yeah.
So we left it there. We did not toss that.
Yeah, don't touch it.
We couldn't. The windows wouldn't open, so we were not able to toss it.
Oh my god! So you're literally stuck in the room with that thing? Okay.
Well, we figured we found it there. We don't want to disturb it. A very old hotel. Probably a lot of creepy shit happened there.
Like you said, she was missing a shoe. She was clearly an off-brand. I felt bad for her.
Yeah. That's what I wondered.
She's a working girl. Yeah, it's fine.
It's like the Dollar Tree Barbie.
That
I don't know what you call the Dollar Tree Barbie, but yeah. So no, it was a really fun trip. Chicago is always fun to go to. Glad I don't live there, but it's a fun place to visit.
I think you call it a Barbara doll.
I don't think I could live there either.
It's just windy. It's always windy. Oh my god!
In Chicago,
it's like haze windy. Oh yeah, it's like haze windy, but it's cold. Like it's like the cold wind coming off. Like Michigan. It's just not like I've been there when it's like raining sideways, and it's fucking miserable. It's like the worst thing ever. Like
it's literally taken my breath away. Like
it's awful.
Morning. It's bad. Yeah.
Oh, it's awful. I mean, it's just there's a lot of cool shit there, but. Oh my God, just like getting around, I mean, it took us 35 minutes to go 0.7 miles, from our hotel. The whole trip was it took a third of our trip was going a mile back to our hotel on whatever the magic. We were on Magnificent Mile, which is the famous shopping district. So there were lots of sort of hoity-toity ladies and their small dogs and big SUVs,
designer bags. Yeah,
there was a wedding. There were a lot of really important, people who felt they were important, kind of standing around. It was a really nice hotel. And it was
wearing
a fun trip.
Every piece of jewelry that they own. It's cool.
God, you would think that no offense to the Drake. I believe it's the Drake, right? That's what you're saying. I mean,
yeah.
A small torso left in a room shouldn't be overlooked by the cleaning staff. I mean, it's just a small. I mean, it's like a weird detail.
It makes you wonder about everything else.
It does, right? Don't break out that.
I mean, I do get. Did you run? Swung into the bathroom, and so it was behind the door. So I get it. If you didn't utilize the bathroom, you wouldn't have seen it. Yeah, which is kind of even creepier because it's just there for you as soon as you as soon as you make yourself comfortable. ready to get some business done. It's like, oh shit, like that. Yeah. So it's
you should have run it. You should have run a black light over that dolly, see what was going on there. That would have been scary.
Never bring a black light to a hotel. You're just gonna
You're asking for trouble. Yeah.
I don't know if I've told this story before. One of my favorite hotel stories was one of the first trips I took in London when I was going over there. And it was like, I think it might have been the first night. And so I was like 20 years old, probably 20 years old. And I'd flown over there and like had to like, got a car, took me to this hotel, and all like hotels in England are usually like old as shit, like, cause it's been around forever. And I'm checking in, and there's this old guy, like the most stereotypical like British event of my life. Of course, it was like my first impression of the place. And this old guy standing at the front of the lobby. This is like one of this old guy who just like hung out at the hotel or something. He didn't work there. He just like seemed like he was kind of the local that just hung out there. And so the lady gives me my key, and she's like, that's room 237 or whatever. And this old British guy just goes, is that the one they kicked the call girl out of? I was just like, oh no. Oh no. So I went to bed that night with,
that's a fun
all sorts of vivid imagery kind of dancing around in my head. So that was fun. But anyway, no, good trip, good show. Dawson.
I love it. I haven't done shit, guys. Literally, it's been kind of nice. We had a nice sunny weekend. We did some errands, we cleaned. It was nice to stay put. So I'm happy about that.
Very true. I'm sure that's
And then it's just been snowing balls until about an hour ago. Oh yeah, dude. We got like 6 inches. It was nuts. It started snowing like on election day. So go figure. I was like, oh, we're in for it in so many ways. So yeah.
But now that you're working remote, I have to imagine the snow is a much more
nice, right?
Nice.
It is nice, and we have a fireplace now, so I just turned that puppy on, and it's like the best thing ever.
Oh, that's nice.
I feel bad for Jonas because he actually has to go out in it, and I'm like, deuces, we'll make some soup later. But yeah, it's been great. It's sans, what happened on Tuesday. It's actually been pretty relaxing.
Good.
Well,
but on that note, should we get to some headlines?
I think, Matt, you should explain to the listening audience kind of what you explained to us before. I
sort of like in kind of my own mind, I kind of had to organize and kind of get my thoughts out. And so I was going to kind of present those thoughts to the group. But I think it's important. I want to say that we all kind of expressed, it sucks for a lot of people. This is pretty shocking, and it shouldn't be shocking, but it's depressing nonetheless. Not a shock, very fucking depressing, and it's good to, as fucking cheesy as this sounds, I think it's good to to talk about this with your friends and appreciate those immediately around you, and rightfully be terrified of pretty much everyone fucking else because that's kind of where we're at right now. So just to kind of, and I'll just kind of kick off kind of, a couple weeks ago, I almost mentioned something because I just listened to this podcast that my good friend Ryan told me to listen to. He's like, this is terrifying. Listen to this. And of course, okay, I'm going to listen to that. And it was Ezra Klein. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ezra Klein, but he's done a podcast forever. And kind of, I sort of kind of got that night. This was kind of where I kind of had my mind made up that things were not good. And I was pretty sure that she was going to lose. And the reason I say that, he did a magnificent job. I want to say is like, I think this helped me understand why Trump won. And I think in our heads, we were all kind of hoping that it was just sort of the MAGA, sort of full force flying trucks, 90-yard signs. And it turned out that wasn't the case. It turns out that was likely a very small fraction of who voted for Donald Trump on Tuesday. But anyway, there are kind of two parts to it. But the first part of it, he kind of explained why Donald Trump got so popular with the voters. And he put it very simply, and I thought it was brilliant, is he said, one of the very first things Donald Trump did in the 2016 kind of primary is he was the only one that was able to speak out about the Iraq war, because he wasn't beholden to the party to speak about that. He wasn't, he hadn't waited his turn in line. He was just able to go out there and say, yeah, the Iraq war was a fucking joke. It was a huge mistake, where nobody else could do that, right? Because they were beholden to the party line. And so I think that really kind of gave him that air of, he can say whatever the fuck he wants to because he's not beholden to anyone. He was completely anti-establishment. He was completely, again, although he shared a lot of those same terrible viewpoints and mindsets that a lot of Republicans do, he was his own dude. And I think people saw that as kind of legitimate. Like, they knew. And the other example he gave is like, the problem that other politicians have is that they have to work through the system of filtration. And so they're always constantly in the back of their head be like, okay, how can I get my point across without offending, not offending, but like keeping the line, not saying that something that's completely, opposite of what we've said forever. And it sort of is this framing that you almost kind of have to lie about stuff. But what he did, he said excellent candidates almost have this, he used the term software-like filter in their heads, where they just can do it and it still sounds convincing. And those are the people that are really sort of charismatic. And there haven't been a lot of them, but he said, Bill Clinton was one of those guys. Like, Bill Clinton could just do it. He said Barack Obama was one of those guys. Barack could just do it. And so later that night, I watched Kamala Harris on, and I think she had a good convention. I thought she did better in the debate than I anticipated. But then she was on the CNN town hall, and she just couldn't do it. Like, because she just, and people on Reddit were like complaining. I actually went to the Kamala Harris subreddit, and there are people there being like, oh, Anderson Cooper's being so mean to Kamala. And I'm like, okay, like, you can't, like, you like, and again, like, yeah, he did ask fair questions, but one of her huge missteps was that she couldn't distance herself from Biden, and she didn't distance herself from Biden.
Right.
And there was another thing where on the Today Show, where somebody flat out, what would you do differently than Biden? Said nothing comes to mind. So that was a huge problem.
Yeah,
it was a huge problem. And you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that was on The View, and I actually seen a couple of headlines today saying that was the point where she lost it. Where she couldn't. She just said, well, I wouldn't do anything differently than we have done before, but anyway, to you.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
No. So that's no. So again, the way it turned out, like, and we know this now kind of post-mortem, is that I don't know, we weren't going to win with Joe. Like, I still stand by that. Like, Biden would have done no better than her. I don't know that he would have done much worse, but he wouldn't have done better. Like, I don't think he would have. To go back to James Carville's, famous quote from '92, "It's the economy, stupid." That was absolutely true this time. But I would amend to that it wasn't the economy stupid. It's the impression of the economy, because people they don't live by GDP. They don't live by, most people don't live by the stock market. So you can crank that out all you want and say, oh, it's great, because really, we survived the economic crash far better than any other European country, like by a huge margin. Like, although there was inflation, certainly I think it was overstated, but they also mentioned that pay rates went up like 20% in that same time frame. But again, it's like, if it's the feeling, how do you correct that? And Democrats have never been good at, like, sort of taking claim for their victories. Like, they're awful at it. Terrible. It was a hard mess to get out of. So I really don't know that there was anything that sort of could have been avoided. But I do think, like, all this kind of, and I think, look, I don't lay much of this, Kamala, like, she was the heir apparent. That's who they decided they wanted. I still think it was a huge mistake. I said Joe needs to step aside, but it can't be Kamala. Go ahead, Tyson.
No, and you did say that right away, but I've been thinking about this a long time. Because Joe basically was forced out, to be fair, for the good of the party. He did, because he's a soldier, a Democratic soldier. So great.
Yeah.
But when he announced that he was stepping aside, he immediately endorsed Kamala. So it was like, I think he did that on purpose, so no one else could step in and say who was going to be out. Because the Obama,
I hadn't thought about that, but I think you're absolutely right. I
don't think anyone had decided who was going to actually run, but Joe was like, "Nope, fuck it, it's going to be her." and he just basically put it in everybody's lap.
It's weird to think of that as an avenue of sabotage, but I think it kind of was, because his people knew, like, they had been discussed, and he was polling better than she was, like, the whole time. Even when he was not polling well, he was still polling better than her. And so I get, it is weird that he, I'll get to, like, I mean, it's not too soon to just jump to, like, I mean, I blame Biden 100% for this, like 100%. Those and the people that surround him, they had 4 years to figure this out. Like, they really did. And they had to counter that Republican pragmatism because they really did. Like, they ran Trump. He's a crazy asshole, but people don't absorb the information about Trump from his crazy assholeness. They just don't hear that. After a while, we don't even hear the crazy shit. It's not even funny anymore. But what they heard it through is through, the media and through all of his surrogates kind of cleaning it up. And like we talked about, like, kind of whitewashing it, kind of laundering Trumpism. And it got to a lot of people. And so I think they really screwed up not reevaluating. They needed a new type of candidate. I mean, not that I would say it should have been Matthew McConaughey, but they kind of needed a Matthew McConaughey. They really did. Somebody who did not have to, because once you're stuck in that rut, right, where you've got this guy who can literally do and say whatever he wants to, you can't, unless you have just a once in a generation or less than a once in a generation candidate like Barack Obama. Yeah. They just needed someone so good to keep it normal that they didn't have that. I don't know who that person is. That's the other problem is I don't know. I was kind of like, so there's this big race in Missouri, and there's this guy running against Josh Hawley, and basically they were both running as populists. I mean, Josh Hawley was running as a populist. If you can think about that. There's not a bigger crony Republican bullshit ass kisser than Josh Hawley. But I mean, historically speaking, populists will succeed in a time of like a certain flavor of a generation. Like Andrew Jackson comes to mind. He opened the doors of the White House open. Everyone came and partied the night that he won. He basically destroyed the White House. They had to rebuild it after that night. That's a party. And people kept hanging out. Like, they had to kick people out of the White House. But that kind of like, like, you could just see a bunch of people, like the people that stormed, the Capitol are the same people that would have just, like, I'm just going to hide in this bathroom until somebody tells me to leave, the night that they won, But anyway, my whole point is that Democrats are really bad as running as populists, because it goes against what Democrats believe in, is that you're not for yourself, you're for everyone, And what we needed was a Democratic populist to run this time to win. And there is none. I mean, there's nobody that comes to mind except McConaughey. Like an actual bona fide celebrity to run. Yeah. And nobody wants to see that really. But I mean, we could definitely get a better celebrity than Donald Trump. I mean, if we really put our mind to it. I mean, absolutely, right, for sure, right. And I hate, it sucks that we have that is the reality. But that is the reality. Like, I think Americans are just like, and we'll get back to one of the things I want to talk about later is kind of why we should be scared to death and why we really shouldn't be scared all that much. I know they seem conflicting, but they're not really. But
excited for you to explain.
Yeah. No, but it's really. I lost my train of thought, but it's going to be hard to go back. People are not good with the slow progress of the American legislative process. No. It isn't. I mean, to be fair, it's gotten much slower over the last few decades, but just nothing gets done. I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, they were trying to sell Biden's big win as the infrastructure deal, right? Well, your streets are still going to suck for the next 15 to 20 years, right? Yeah. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, you have to, and it makes it untenable, I think, for anybody to run kind of a successful program as a president or a legislature, because you just can't do that much. There's only so much you can do with immediate feedback. Now, the worst thing you can do, though, which I think they did, is pretending everything's okay. And that was a huge mistake. I mean, at least be empathetic to the problem at least do some things that are visual, sort of optically look like you're trying to do something. And they really didn't do that. They did shit like, like paying back student loans. And for 90% of Americans, that wasn't a thing that appealed to them. It was great for the very few that did, but it was such a, like, it was just such a, like, it was like, yes, we will get to that point where we can do that, but we're nowhere close to that right now. Like, it just was, so we just made a lot of really politically bad decisions. But I don't know, the only real takeaway I had from kind of election night, which we learned, was that, I think the one thing that was kind of making me feel good on election day, kind of in the morning, it was sort of a slow downgrade towards the sort of peaked real high when I woke up. It's like sunshine on my shoulder. And then it was, I really hope that, that there were several anti-abortion measures in a lot of states, Missouri, Florida.
10.
I really hope that would bring out the woman vote. And it did. They just also chose to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
In a lot of states. Missouri, it passed. Florida, I think it got to, they had a 60% threshold. And I think it got to 57 or 58%, which would have in any other state would have gotten.
Would have been fine.
I don't remember what the outcome in Kansas was, but Kansas was something like 60-some%. I mean, it was a huge win. And it was so, and that I think was the biggest kind of gut check, was that, like, okay, here are women who are, obviously worried and getting out there and vote, and yet still they're not voting for the Democratic candidate. That's a huge problem. And so that, I hope that the retrospect on that. And so that was really, and just basically only Ben and Jerry voted this election. Like, the Democratic votes were like down like 15 million, some ridiculous number compared to 2020. And I thought this felt more, I don't know why I thought it felt, I don't know. Like, it was just, I don't know. It seemed just as energetic as 2020 did, but that was a myth. Apparently.
It was, yeah.
I think, I mean, you talked about it already, but I mean, it was a kitchen table election. Everybody's more worried about their grocery bill than they are about anything else. And it's just, and that is such a weirdly, like, universal situation. But I mean, I get
people don't understand what the president does. Like, they really don't understand.
No, they don't.
Like, that the president doesn't have. I mean, he controls the weather, true, but he doesn't control the price of gas.
Yeah.
I mean,
secrets revealed.
Right.
He does. He does control NOAA, to be fair, but he doesn't. Yeah.
He does control. Controls the weather. Yeah. It's kind of like how Musk controls the news. Yeah.
Oh God.
So.
My favorite thing about, like, the shit that, my favorite example of all time is, how, like, you're saying, like, things can't get done. Sally asked me, I guess my thing was my little processing. My dad and I've already processed this. Sally and Mom not so much, but because Dad and I are like, well, there's another election in 2 years, and we just keep switching. It seems when I was growing up, it was 12 years of Reaganomics, then 8 years of Clinton, then 8 years of George W. Bush, then 8 years. But now it's 4, and pretty soon it's going to be 2, 2, 2, 2.
Yeah.
And the turnover is just getting faster, but it's like entropy. And so, so how much damage could a guy do? Well, a lot, and I'm sure you'll get into that. But also, how much can he focus? And I'll let you get to your points, and I'll add on my shit at the end. But anyway, my favorite thing about how shit gets done is the day that they voted to get rid of daylight savings time, and people didn't even bother to vote because they didn't think it was going to come up, and then it passed, and then like 5 senators freaked the fuck out. They're like, "What?" They fired their assistants and shit. They're like, "Why didn't you tell me that?" And they're like, we didn't know it was going to be up, and they just brought it to the floor, because you can do that. And, and that's the only thing that got done that I remember in that 2-year session that really fucking mattered at all.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they overturned it anyway. So it was just like, fuck.
I mean, they can barely get the budget passed every year. I mean, really, I mean, how many, almost every budget cycle they go through 3 or 4 extensions, and then they realize that they ultimately have to keep the government open. Now that may change, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess the only other observation, it was the Latino vote going strongly for Trump was also something that I think the Democrats need to have a reckoning with, because again, I think it's that populism thing. I think it's they, and again, a lot of it has to do with sort of nobody wants to be the lowest class, right? And so for a lot of legal Latinos in America, they're not big fans of illegal immigrants. Like it's antithetical to what you would think, but it's actually the opposite, because to them, as sad as it is to say, like they're, lower than, and it's kind of a sad thing. It's kind of just an unfortunate reality, but that's
it's a thing. Yeah, like, they're punching down, but really they're punching sideways. It's like, it's not really helping, but it makes them feel good.
Right.
And I see that, and people have been saying that about the Latino voters for a while, because they're like, they've been here for 3 generations, so they're Americans as far as, we just call them Latinos because they're not white, instead of calling them Americans.
Right. So, well, and again, that's a great point. I mean, that is something that I think the Democrats have made, have kind of just sort of, like they're in their own weird way, kind of subjugated the races, because they do consider them not. It's a weird thing. Like I don't want to get too into it because it's touchy, but
it's all this.
So anyway,
I don't know. You see guys on TV, they're like, we're with the Latino League of Voter Analysis and blah blah blah, and you're like, Jesus Christ! It's like, I get it, but you're not helping. Like it gets confusing. I'm just saying, when you stand in, there's polls that go into like this. Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. So
I don't know.
Scare me, Matt.
Yeah. So I guess we'll go into why we should be terrified.
Great.
Now this is actually a shorter list, and I'm hoping
my stress rash is almost gone. Smith.
Bring it back. All right. No, I'm going to bring it back. So why we should be, got a little headline right here, just typed out and highlighted. Why you should be terrified. So here we go. So this also kind of inspired by that Ezra Klein podcast to an extent, but the one thing that is going to be different than in 2016 is that Donald Trump brought in a lot of traditional people to surround him. He really did kind of, he brought in a few kind of nut, kind of flakes like General Flynn, and, Bannon was like his chief of staff for like a hot minute. But he did bring in a lot of people that were, as he would put them, not loyal, right? Like they didn't like sign an oilty, but he was talking about that at the time. I mean, he mentioned that flat out, that like he wanted an oilty oath from Comey, was it? Like, I think this is way, God, can't believe we're here again. Fuck.
I know.
But, but again, crazy shit happened every day. So, he was like, so, and he ran through, I don't know how many Priebus. I don't remember how many chiefs of staff that guy ran through. So that is going to be a little bit different, as he is going to hire loyalists. And, the guy, when he says something like, hey, can't we just shoot a nuclear missile into that hurricane? And the guy who was there said, that's probably a bad idea. That guy might not be there this time. So that is kind of one thing to worry about, is that he's not going to have the good angel on his shoulder. Because at least they tried to do the right thing. Now, I don't think that's going to be, I'll get into this a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be completely the case everywhere, because there are like 1 million federal government workers. There's a lot of people who work for the federal government. And so you're not going to make them all loyalists overnight. But the other thing too, is that, he does have, you can look at I'll use the example of his, and forgive me, I'm forgetting the code that he's actually it's like the act of like 1873 or something. He's kind of basing his
Alien Sedition Act of
the good old Alien Sedition Act.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Right there.
He's going to do on day one.
1819 or something like that.
And so that very clearly states that you have to be like in an active war. It has to be seen as an act of war. Well, it doesn't fucking matter now, because he's got the Supreme Court on his side. So he can really drudge up any of these. He's going to bring new life to a whole bunch of old pieces of shit legislation that people have like long forgot about. Like, I'm sure he has teams of attorneys just doing this right now, being like, find me power, find me power, find me power. Because he has a very friendly Supreme Court. I don't think there was a lot of panic about when they kind of granted him like sort of, full breadth immunity. But I think that was a little overblown, just because there are good cases for you do have to kind of have an implied level of immunity for the president, just so they're not getting sued all the time. And the downside of that was, the upside of that was, it had never been becoming a Supreme Court decision before, right? It was always sort of one of these, again, one of these sort of kind of assumed notions, a gentlemanly handshake that we'd always kind of understood. And that's where Trump made his bones, is like finding all of those conventions. And if they weren't written down, fuck it, it's gone. He's excellent at that. So he is going to have a lot friendlier Supreme Court this time around. So why are you guys terrified? Tell me about your feelings. Tell me about what keeps you up at night. We only have one full night. It's truly.
Well, okay. The Project 2025 thing, I don't think it's got the legs. The thing is, he is going to surround himself with sycophants, and they will sign little loyalty oaths, which they'll call when you sign a thing saying that you won't reveal anything that's happened,
it's like a non-disclosure agreement.
Non-disclosure, They will be non-disclosure agreement, but they'll be loyalty oaths, But he still has to, so he'll surround himself with all these idiots, and they'll be like, yeah, you should shoot that missile directly into Cuba. It's not even a real country. But he's still going to have attorneys. Now, I know the Federalists live and breathe for a moment like this, the Federalists Association, but again, he's still going to have like a room full of lawyers be like, okay, this is what he wants to do today. Is this even remotely possible? And they'll be like, no, I don't think so. He's going to have to change this law. By the time lunch rolls around, he's throwing a bottle of ketchup at the wall. He's got distracted because somebody said his hair looked weird on fucking MSNBC or whatever. And so like, I just don't think he's got anyway, but what terrifies me is some of that stuff. Another couple more people on the Supreme Court. I really hope Mitch McConnell dies so he can just get out of that process. I'm tired of him being around.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about that, I think the two people that are eligible are both Republicans. So it's potentially not going to tilt it anymore, but it is going to secure that majority for at least another generation, probably.
It would be really nice. Even if we got two numbnuts, just replacing Alito and fucking
Gorish. Is that the other Gorsuch?
No, the other guy, the Thomas.
A Diet Coke can.
Diet Coke can.
Yeah.
Get rid of those two
why?
Fucking morons would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say Thurgood Marshall, and that's not fair because he was an excellent.
That
is incorrect.
Yeah, Black Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah, but anyway, he's an American.
That fucking guy. We all know.
But here's the other thing. I keep thinking about. There's an old John Mulaney bit. I know you guys have probably heard it, where when they said having Trump in the White House, like having a horse running around in a hospital. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You hear things like he's trying to break down into the emergency room, but we don't know why, and he can't figure out how to open the door. And then sometimes it's just confusing. Like, did you know the horse could work the elevator in the hospital? And he's like, you have to kind of check on it every day to see what's going on. Whereas Obama, you'd be like, it was like having a babysitter. Like, he'll take care of things. That's how I felt about Joe Biden and pretty much any Democrat. But when Republicans are in power, especially if they're going to have all three branches, as much as I want to just disengage, I can't because I feel like I have to keep an eye on the horse in the hospital. And it compels me to pick up my phone and pay the $9.95 a month so I can read Apple News no matter what it shows up. And so I can keep track of what is going on. And I hate that. I would much rather read comic books than to have to, because my doom scroll is the headlines. It's not Facebook, obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't do Instagram and do any of that stuff. Apparently that's a worse way to get information, but anyway. So yeah.
No, I'm exactly the same. And I don't know, much as I criticize social media, I don't know how much better doom scrolling CNN or MSNBC or because it's just not good for the brain.
No, it's not.
Not healthy.
That's what scares me because that's a thing I do to myself. It's not even what they're doing to me. It's me doing it to myself. So that bugs me. But whatever. Yeah. Maybe I'll get better.
I'm gonna go on a blackout. Like I did like a 6-month blackout last time around. It was good. It was good for me. Like that's when I stopped.
I think that sounds good. I like that.
I used to religiously watch like MSNBC. Like I would watch Rachel Maddow every night, and I have not done that since 2016. And it all for the better.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, I just see MSNBC when I'm with my parents because they have it on every screen in the house, including their phones, and a TV and another TV in the same room. Anyway, liberals love to come over and work at my parents' house because it's like an oasis for them. Like,
yeah, right.
They're like, some guy came over to do some exterminating, and he told my parents, he was like, "I love you guys. I love coming here and working for you guys." He's like, "Me and my partner, we're married and we live in Hill City," and he's like, "Every place I go is Fox News, but you guys have MSNBC on every screen." And either, like, anyway, but yeah, I mean, since we got rid of cable, the only news I can watch is that sanitized news, like NBC, the NBC channel that's not politicized. So I can watch that on Roku or the ABC channel, which is a little more
Tyson's
politicized.
Going dark.
Tyson.
Oh, what's happening?
We're down 2 frames a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you, but you're frozen.
Yeah. Now you're back.
We can. Yeah.
Back.
That's because I was doing this with my hands.
We thought it'd begun. We were like, oh,
process.
We thought it was
hitting the West Coast first.
They're already taking it over. Yeah.
he's found us.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's going to be ironic if
it was so fast. Yeah. Anyway, what are you scared of, Dawson?
Yeah.
Are you scared of anything besides
I won't go down the whole list.
I'm
scared of Stephen Miller, that fucking guy being in his goddamn ear again. Also Elon Musk. Like, where is he going to be a part of the cabinet? Where is he going to be involved?
Oh, he put $130 million.
Yeah, he's gonna.
He's gonna have some say. Yeah,
that's gonna be fucked. RFK Jr. Overseeing healthcare.
Yeah, but I already saw a headline.
Another one.
My dad showed me a headline today. It said Trump campaign quietly disassociating with RFK Jr. over vaccines. And I mean,
great.
And I think he's going to.
Okay, that's awesome.
I also think he's going to do the same with Elon Musk. I think he's going to be like, "Oh, fuck you, Elon Musk. You got me where I needed to be. I don't need your money anymore."
I would love that. I would really love that. You will see.
Yeah, that's TBD. A good point. Like he does, like, can try to think, except for like the real extremists, like anybody that's worked for that dude for any length of time that still likes him. Like,
I mean, Scaramucci. Scaramucci worked with him for like 4 days, and like suddenly he
became a definition of time. A Scaramucci. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's 15 days. Yeah. Fucking Ivanka and Dave fucking hate him.
Oh my god,
like,
I know.
Daughter can't stand him.
Yeah.
So they'll get fed up and hopefully start, but no, because they're pieces of shit and they won't tell the truth.
They're all pieces of shit. I think the thing that worries me the most is what is going to happen to the LGBTQ community in terms of rights, especially trans rights. I can see those it's just going to get bad there. And I've got friends who are legitimately worried about staying in this country because of it. And I don't blame them, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that is really bothering me.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that the biggest thing, like, I think the one big judicial thing that we could see vanish is I could see a state challenging gay marriage again.
Yep.
I really think that is a very realistic possibility. Now, we're not the same place we were 10 years ago. I think people are, for whatever reason, more accepting of gay people than they are trans people. I don't know why that is, but that's just it's been a longer gestation period. And I do think that
it's not as scary.
And again, a lot of it I think is exposure, right? Like a lot of people living in these small communities, like they have never met a trans person in their life, and they never. But it's like if you get into a population center of more than 20,000 people, you're gonna meet some people that and it's I can't understate how essential that is for understanding, because it's the same thing. It's like,
because guess what? They're fucking great people.
Yes, absolutely.
There is literally nothing wrong with them.
No.
In
and
fact, they're better than you because they're literally living out their truth and their lives the way they should.
They're a hell of a lot braver than you are. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's not an easy thing. Like, because they know people like you are out there. And that's exactly what. So
yes.
I would agree with that. That is something that,
Did you guys get so Josh Hawley, and I guess it was because they talked about it during election night. I guess it was across many states, but the Republicans, and Josh Hawley in particular, was running an ad with a woman from Kentucky who was on a swim team, and she got beat by a trans gender female who was obviously more masculine than she was, and he kicked the shit out of her. So she was on many commercials for various people across the United States. But then they took that video, a picture of her standing next to the lady that was, trans, and she was much more masculine. But then they took it down a different road, and they're like, and then they're also going to put these people in the same locker rooms as your kids, and then they're going to also have these people talk to you and your kids, and they're going to get funding for blah blah blah, and they just took all this stuff and went way down a rabbit hole on trans rights that basically just wiped out any kind of right that they had established aside from breathing, and it worked. Yeah. I think it worked. And I did you guys see the commercials with Kamala, when she was talking about providing trans rights to prisoners?
They were on a loop on some
all the time. All the time.
We don't see those kind of commercials in Indiana, Tyson. We were not the first state to be called this time, though. Go Indiana. Usually it's a tight race with Indiana, Kentucky. And it's either the first dipshit of the night's going to be, and it wasn't us this time. So progress, maybe.
Hey, it wasn't dipshit of the night.
It wasn't. Hey, Kansas was purple for like fucking hours. I couldn't.
Kansas was purple. Kansas was trying to hold out. I was very happy.
I saw that I saw that. I was like, "What's this?" And it didn't last very long, but it was.
But it was fun for a minute.
Happy about Colorado.
Yeah. On the trans rights issue, I heard a comment about how big of an issue have they really made that with their voters. And I remember what I was watching, but he said, no, they've made it a huge issue because they've spent all this money on advertising about it. Like, it has become one of their just fear mongering tactics. And it's absurd, but it's amazing. Really it's the economy and immigration. I really think that's those three things that people are terrified are ruining their lives. And it's, they haven't met these people before, but they're absolutely ruining them. I mean, it's very...
It's infuriating.
It is very infuriating. It is very infuriating. So hopefully, should go into what I don't think and why we shouldn't be terrified.
Yeah.
Yes, let's go there. I really need, we need to end on a high note.
All right, that's why
I
told
Dawson
as
possible
before the podcast. I didn't want us to, but again, I wanted to get it, but I wanted to bring some positivity to our listeners because that's what we're known for here on this podcast.
Yes,
positivity. That's what it is.
We almost named it that.
No, we did. We did. The positive cast. We're testing positive with
testing positive.
Not for pregnancy, but for good times.
Absolutely.
And the clap.
Good time positive.
I guess good time implies the clap, but whatever, it's fine.
Okay.
Looks fun.
So I'll go through my list real quick, just what I had, and we'll see if you guys compete with any of these or not. But again, Tyson mentioned this previously, but I do think that the Project 2025 thing was a lot overblown by the Democrats. I think they tried to make it their fair tactic, and they're not good at that. They're not good at going down that road. He was tangentially connected to it, but you have to understand is Trump has had more abortions. I mean, probably been responsible for abortions than the state of Utah. So he's a fan of abortion, right? Dude likes abortions. It's got to be out of a lot of jams.
Yeah,
a lot of jams.
Possibly
we also know
in Utah.
Probably. Very, very likely.
Possibly.
Very likely. It's tough there too, man.
It is.
It's tough there. Those Mormon clinics are a little rough around the edges. But I do think that was overblown, and we know that there are women who want their goddamn rights, and they made that very clear in election night.
Yeah.
And they even more want their birth control. So I really have kind of, I totally get it was a legitimate concern because he did sort of kind of convalesce and court these pro-life voters. The Christians ate it up, right? But I don't think he's going to stick to it because he knows it's unpopular. Like he knows it's a negative for him. He's got a lot more positives like immigration where he's got a much bigger base. He's going to move on those things first. I do think that, so I'm really hoping against hope that we really did kind of a panic moment about that. There was a lot of crazy shit in there, and there are some people that believe that shit. Travis Buckner, what's his name? Not Travis Buckner, whatever the kicker for the Chiefs was.
Butker.
But there's a bunch of idiots like that. I mean, JD Vance is another one. Like there are those people that are like that, but it's not the core of like his mandated, kind of his voters. Like it really, I don't think it is. Like it's a lot of them, but it's not all of them. Go through the list real quick. He doesn't really want to be president.
No, he does not. Did you see him like when he won? Like when he got up on, he just looked tired, and he was like, "Oh fuck! Now I got the job. Now I got to do it." Like
I did not watch his victory speech.
I watched it on mute. I just wanted to see what he looked like for 5 minutes, and he didn't. Again, not surprised. He doesn't want the job.
Yeah.
No, he was like, Melania was there. She was just kind of like gritting her teeth because it's in some contract somewhere. She's got to hold his hand at some moments. It can't be a fake Melania, which there was a fake Melania.
I looked at that.
Sorry.
I was really hoping. I was really hoping fake Melania was a thing. I did go to Snopes though, and they discredited. I was very displeased to see that. I was like, God damn it, Snopes! How do you know that? How do you know that for sure? Let me have our one conspiracy. God damn it! You're 90. I want one conspiracy. Fake
that was
Melania.
A good one too.
It was a good one, man. Poor Melania. But
she
really
knows what she got into. She was trying to do it.
I don't feel sorry for her at all.
Yeah, she was like, I'm done doing Aflac commercials. I'm going to marry this weird creep and just fucking. She knows.
But I think what that means is that, like, he doesn't really want to be president, meaning a lot of the day-to-day shit that a president, he's going to give that to somebody, right?
He will.
His reach is going to be sort of impressed by his laziness and lack of attention. He's going to be tweeting on the shitter like he did the last 4 years. Like, that's all he's going to do.
I mean, that's what his people love. That's what the people, they eat that shit up. They're like, I mean, that guy's hat, I'll never forget it. When I was after Trump lost the election, I saw a guy wearing his hat in Wisconsin, and it said, "I miss the cheap gas and the mean tweets." And that fucking sums up everything perfectly.
That nails it. Oh, absolutely.
Right there. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I was like, that guy is a genius, I think. Maybe. I know he didn't design that hat, but he encapsulated an entire movement.
I miss the mean tweets and the cheap gas. I like that. Me too.
Yeah.
The other one I had real quick is Trump. Oh, go ahead, Tyson. No. I don't want to speed ahead.
Yeah, to your point. Now, unless he tries to change the law, but so he can have a third term, he is not working towards re-election. So he has less to prove, and really, he's just going to hang out. He's just going to be like this.
I did not have that, but that's an excellent one. I love the positivity coming out of our pores here. I love it. Like, yeah, that's a good one. I like
because
that. That's a very good point.
He doesn't have to fight for the next re-election campaign. It's like, so he will probably try to get away from. What he'll do is he'll set himself up for success afterwards. But he's such a miserable bastard. The reason he has no friends in the first place, except for friendless Elon Musk, is
he's got his mom, Tyson. Don't worry about Elon's mom. He flies home on the weekends and does his laundry there. You can watch it on Flight Tracker.
Oh my god! Oh, that's so fun. But yeah, I mean, there's a real chance. I mean, it could be an entire lame duck presidency if we're lucky. It'll be all these
if
other
we're
people
lucky,
like Stephen Miller's around him, the fucking crazy people, the Rudy. I mean, is Rudy Giuliani going to come back? I mean, God knows. I mean,
I don't know though, but I saw a very funny picture of him in an American flag fucking button up in some convertible, and he had a selfie stick, and he was taking a picture with himself and a bunch of maggots. So,
oh my god,
he's there. He was there in Florida to celebrate.
I mean, he is. Trump loves a yes man.
They go way back.
Yeah, there's no bigger yes
That's
man.
an interesting. I don't know. That's an interesting thought to see how prevalent Giuliani is, because I don't think Trump likes him. I don't know.
And again, he was in a car, so he could have been parked outside of Mar-a-Lago, not able to get in. Like, let's just be honest.
That's true. Like, he may not associate with Giuliani anymore. Like, he doesn't have a house; he's homeless, and God knows Trump doesn't like homeless people. So.
Giuliani's like, if I'm going to be homeless, I'm getting a convertible for as long as I can have it.
As far as I know, he's still like Trump still owes him unpaid legal bills. It's amazing that other one, Trump isn't great at getting things done. His big project that everybody loved, which is fascinating. I didn't think about this till the other night, but we have not heard word one about the wall. In this election, nothing. And he got 70 miles of that built, something like that, in 4 years in office. He's just not good. Even when he has and I don't remember what the legislative history of that was, but he may have I don't know if he executive ordered that. But anyway, you can't get that, and so he's not great at getting things done. As much as it's right to fear his big plan of deporting 10 to 15 million illegal, immigrants. There's a lot of logistical concerns there.
So much.
You can't, as much as Elon may just want to shoot them up on an individual rocket into space, like he's left that may be the plan.
It is.
You can't do that.
It is. It's logistically speaking, it is so much easier to take people who are crossing into our country and separate them from their kids than it is to track an entire country of people that are specifically needing to leave the country. It's such a different thing because those people have friends and family that are going to hide them. It'll be like the ICE will be busting the houses. Like, no, I don't think this would happen. I'm saying it's unlikely to happen because it's so logistically hard.
Right. And all those, and I do think too, is a lot of those Texas housewives are going to be like, nope, you're not taking her. Nope. Nope. She takes care of my. So I think, again, it's one of those environmental things where it sounds great to people at the time, but it's well, not my illegal immigrant. You know what I mean? Not the guy that I know down the street,
He's one of the good ones.
So you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
It's just that, it's everybody else. It's not anyone I know. It's everybody else. Well, guess what? They're not going to be able to differentiate. They're going to come out and they're saying that we'll focus on criminals, and that whole thing is just absurd. How they've made it sound legal immigrants, they don't commit crimes nearly at the rate that normal citizens do.
Also, most people get pulled over for a traffic infraction, and that could be one of their taillights isn't working. It's also illegal to hang things from your rearview mirror. Those are the laws that will be broken for these people to be shipped out of the country if they went to this, which, again, I agree with you completely, won't happen.
Yeah. The one I have is a little dated now. Potential Democratic control of the House. We'll just go ahead and skip over that one. But again, I will say that he did for 2 years did have all three chambers. All three chambers. Both chambers.
He has all three chambers now. If you don't,
so now he'll have all three.
Chambers.
And so all four. Yeah, he does have all four chambers now. Just a few bitch. Away from a Wu-Tang album. And so anyway, I don't think we're going to pull. I think the deficit and how few people voted, I think, is going to kill the chances for Democrats controlling the House. Although there are a lot of them out there, so we can hope. Next one, I'm almost done, but I've got a few more. So there's some.
No, that's good. Bring the good news.
The bureaucratic safety net, which I think is huge. You really, again, going back to what we were talking about, how it's really hard to accomplish something. You have a ton of bureaucracy preventing, you've got judicial bureaucracy. I mean, any movement that you make, although, there are a lot of Trump-friendly courts around the nation, there are tons that aren't friendly, even still.
Right.
And so when those deportation orders hit, all the major cities, that's going to be it's going to be a real logistical challenge. They're not going to get after that. So so the fact that on day one he's going to deport 15 million, no, he'll be lucky if even if he goes full bore, the most successful he gets, they're not going to be able to do it, I don't think. And I think this applies for a lot of different, things that he wants to do. Is I think there will be challenges. It will be slow. It's his trick, right? It's his trick. This is how, and again, I didn't even mention this. The biggest thing I fault the Biden administration for was fucking Merrick Garland. Like they had 4 years to put that asshole in jail, and they failed to do it. And why? Because they thought they'd get a big win over the Republicans by giving the Supreme Court justice a Republican. That shit's got to end. Like Kamala said something in there about how the one difference. That's right. The one difference she did say that she would make was she would put a Republican in the cabinet. Fucking stupid. Like that is absolutely the opposite of what they need to do. And so they haven't gotten that message. Anyway, I had to mention the Merrick Garland thing, but no, I do think there's a lot of bureaucracy. Again, it's going to be less so now that he's going to have those close people in, but they're going to have to work for him, and they're going to realize what it's like. And you're going to have a lot of legislative leaders who are representing their communities who aren't happy by a lot of the policies he's trying to implement. So we do have that. I also already mentioned the federal court safety net. 2 more. Civil disorder. I think we might see a lot of civil disorder.
See that happening.
And so as again, this probably would tie more to the immigration thing more than anything. But if you start seeing whole communities that they're going after, guess what? Those people are going to start burning down shit, and rightfully so. And so I do think and that's not a good look. Like it really isn't. No. It does add chaos. As much as he's threatened to put the military in there, that's a huge thing. I mean, that is something it's a bad kind of. So I don't know if we'll get there. And the last one, a little one, but I still think somewhat shooting themselves in the foot. I don't know if you guys remember, this was one of the bigger Supreme Court decisions about a year ago, was the Chevron decision, which basically stripped almost all of the agencies of their power. Yeah. So what it basically did was things like the EPA and all those big federal agencies used to be able to fiat certain laws and regulations into power, and it dramatically limited their ability to do that, which means that those now have to become legislative actions, which also slows down the process. So I think that also could be a good thing.
Yeah, I read this thing about the Chevron decision, when the day the Supreme Court released their decision on the Chevron, knocking it down, saying it didn't apply or whatever, 3 court cases in federal courts across the country cited the Chevron law having been struck down that day, went through the courts and were decided on that same day. That's how loaded they had that set up.
Oh wow, I did not know that. That's
wow. There was it's almost
like they knew it was going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, no shit.
Somehow. I think I learned that from John Oliver's last week tonight. He did one on federal courts, I think. And that's where I think I got that statistic. But that's how crazy that Chevron. They've been wanting to get rid of that for so long. They basically have teed up thousands of court cases to try to strip away any of these regulations that are ostensibly there to help us. People talk about unnecessary regulations, but it's not. I mean, they wouldn't be there. You don't just make up shit and pass laws. Well, some people do, but you know what I'm saying? Like, regulations come from a place of concern generally.
Yes, yes. We do not want to go back to the what was that book everybody had to read in high school?
Upton Sinclair's
Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. Yes.
But
good book, terrifying.
Yeah,
good book.
That's
what the human. Yeah, that's JFK or RFK Jr. right there. In a nutshell, probably needs to read that book so we keep the rats out of our sausage.
Yeah, exactly. It's like no one was like, what, we should put a law and say, rats shit sometimes. Let's say they can't be in our food. They were like, oh shit, look at all this rat shit in our food. We should probably say the law should allow that. So just anyway.
Yeah. Well, thanks for indulging me. That's my good. Whole list.
Thanks.
I didn't know how we were going to do about it. I feel like that was probably the best way to do it. So,
absolutely,
it's hard to organize all your feels and thoughts after something like that.
We can hopefully next podcast get to part 2 of my sadness journal. I'm just going to make this a regular my sadness journal.
I like it.
My fears, my concerns, and then everything's going to be okay.
This is nice.
In all seriousness, there's a lot of really bad things that I think are potential. But again, we do as liberals or Democrats or whatever. I don't know what the hell I consider myself for you guys, but like we do tend to be a little hyperbolic when things like this happen, and we did think the sky was falling when George W. Bush won in 2004.
That's true.
It's gonna be not great. There's going to be, as we mentioned before the podcast, there's going to be a lot of fucking comedy. I mean, a lot of funny shit.
A lot of comedy.
It's going to be like happy, sad all the time. Like it's going to be a constant. Yeah. So, but we're going to be okay. Just, hang on to those people you love, your friends. We'll be all right.
You did get a little bit of a chance to just check out, a little bit and be like, well, I didn't vote for him. And, I know people shouldn't be that way, but sometimes
that's actually kind of what I told myself. Like I had that after I went on that kind of 6 month to a year blackout of not all media, but like not just actively engaging myself. It was like, oh hey, like it wasn't like a football game and they lost because I wasn't watching. Like no, it was fine. Like it really like everything's pretty slow moving, and so it was really okay to sort of. So I also suggest that just
I think that's a good suggestion. Honestly, I put the brakes on Pod Save America after listening to it for 5 minutes today. I was just like, yep, I'm gonna put this on pause.
And it's
these
absolutely
guys clearly don't understand or don't want to understand what has happened.
And I think we
aren't there yet completely, but it's like they're just not owning up to any of it. So
Okay. So anyway,
pausing is good.
Pausing is good. Absolutely.
You know what? Go outside. Pull a Hillary Clinton. Go outside. Fucking walk around in the woods. Contemplate life.
Absolutely.
Get yourself out there.
It helps.
Absolutely. Yeah. Focus on something else. I don't know. Adopt a kid. Something.
Get all up in nature.
Kids. Get all up in nature.
Have some
walk it off. Walk it off.
Have some maple syrup. Enjoy.
Exactly. Absolutely. Become a maple syrup farmer. Like it will take you for fucking ever.
That sounds fantastic.
Just for your own pancakes. Yeah, it's
love it. Lovely. What a great idea.
Yeah,
I do like it. Was Vermont like just exactly? Is it like Germany, where it's just one of those places where you go there and you're like, this is exactly what I expected it to be like? Was Vermont kind of like that?
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. They call it the whole thing New England, but basically once you get to the eastern part of New York, and then as far as at least to Connecticut and Vermont, and I assume parts of Maine. I assume most of it. It all looks identical to me, So the only difference is really the bumper stickers and the license plates and some of the accents are a little different here and there. But Vermont was very Vermonty. It was like, a lot of people stopped to pet our dog. A lot of people had dog bones in their pockets they were walking around with and just gave them to dogs. I mean,
that's what I imagined. I figure a lot of old dudes with like scarves and hats and dog treats.
Yeah, and a lot of hipsters.
Oh, and, I bet. Oh, yeah.
And I didn't see this, but Beth told me about it. I was in a comic book store across the street for a minute, and anyway, a woman was walking her dog, and it was a little dog. I don't know what kind of dog it was, but the woman was dressed to the nines, and the dog had a very fancy scarf on. And the dog was off lead, so that means it didn't have a leash. And the dog walked 5 feet in front of the woman and stayed exactly 5 feet in front of her. So she had trained the dog to walk without a lead. And
pretty impressive.
She said that she walked like in unison, like that they were walking like a pair. But Melly was laying on the ground, like in her way, and Melly was a lot bigger and the dog looked over at Melly and then just shook it off and walked away. And Beth heard the lady go, "Good dog." And I was like, that's very Vermont. That's very Vermont, right? Isn't that very Vermont? So anyway.
It is. Probably made that woman's day.
Yeah, probably. Right? So it was, we were only in Brattleboro, so it's a very southern tip. But even still, I got a lot of the, because Vermont, Matt, do you remember working, like what was the Senate stuff we used to work at? Like I did for Propline, but we'd go work those trade shows for like the legislatures and whatever. Like
wherever they had the nudist would show up. Not
right. Yeah, the nudist colony.
The nudist. They got a pen every year, like from this nudist association.
And
work your legislators. That's how it happens.
I have 4 pens in a row, and I have a bunch. If any readers would like some extras, I actually got she gave me a box of 100 of them one year. because I was the last person at the nudist colony booth. Anyway, what happens when you meet somebody from Vermont? They're independent as shit. Like that's their vibe, and they'll tell you about it. And that, I mean, they're like, I mean, they'll tell you about their, how they run their Congress and how it's all fucking free, and it's a whole different way of running a state government in Vermont, and that is very much how the people acted. So I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. Wikipedia Vermont, state legislation, you'll figure it out. It gives you an exact idea what kind of people are in Vermont. I have some headlines, but they're mostly...
Yeah, let's get into something else.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Well...
headline of the week.
Well, these are related to the election, but I'm just going to read the headlines because they're funny. This is from HuffPost. Trump tells New Mexico crowd that he's there for simple reason to pander to Latinos. Our president. Vanity Fair. Fox News host says he divorced his wife for voting for Kamala Harris. I saw that guy. Yeah. He said, if I found out Emma was going into a voting booth and pulling the lever for Harris, that's the same thing as having an affair. No, it's not.
Is that that douchebag Kilmeade? Is that who said that?
No, it wasn't. It's this guy.
Oh, another douchebag. It's hard to aim. It's hard to aim.
Yeah, I just
aim at the douchebags.
That guy.
Oh yeah, that douchebag.
Yeah. This is the guy. This is the guy that deflated his future wife's tires. Have you heard this story? He was married at the time, but he worked with this woman he liked, and so what he did was he stalked her car during her office hours, deflated a tire, and then came to her rescue as a way to spend time with her.
Oh wow!
Fucking psychopath.
And then came clean about it, and then got divorced and married this woman. That's who he's currently, So he is probably legit worried she might have an affair, even if it's with a voting booth, because he kind of did too. I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, to think that is a really cute How We Met story.
That is adorable. Literally never going to be the basis for a How I Met Your Mother episode. I guarantee it. Because that's got red flags all over it.
It really does. His name is... She went for it. She went for it. She was like Emilio Estevez in that movie. She went for it.
Jesse Waters is his name.
Anyway, yes. Yes.
Ugh.
God.
Okay, this is my favorite headline.
Stupid mugs on at the gym all the time. Fucking hate it.
But he's so dreamy. He's no ABC guy.
Yeah. No.
This is from BBC News. This is my favorite headline. This is my last real headline, except for one fun one. Monkeys will never type Shakespeare, study finds. So you guys may have heard this phrase, but there's this famous phrase that given an infinite amount of time, a monkey pressing keys on a typewriter would eventually write the complete works of William Shakespeare. So 2 Australian mathematicians have taken a look at that and figured out, they call it the infinite monkey theorem. That would not happen. It's based on probability and randomness. It's just impossible. It would never happen. And I've heard, a room full of monkeys typing for infinity might be able to do it, which has a great Simpsons joke where Mr. Byrne has a room full of monkeys at typewriters trying to prove that it works. He pulls out a piece of paper from the thing and he goes, "It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times." And he throws it at the monkey. Stupid monkey. Anyway. Greatest jokes of all time. All right, and now, just because we went through an election, for fun, these are the albums that turned 30 this month. How many records did you have?
Oof.
Oh, this is a fun game. I like this game.
Oh, God.
Game. I love anything that makes me feel
It is fun.
ancient.
And also makes me feel sad. Go on.
I'm sorry, it's loading up here. There we go.
Okay, say 30 years ago this month?
30 years in November.
In November, okay.
2024. So these came out in 1994.
Okay.
So count with me. Okay. First one is Unplugged in New York. Second one, by Nirvana. Sorry. That was implied. It's like the main Unplugged record. Vitology by Pearl Jam. Wildflowers by Tom Petty.
Yes.
Live at the BBC by the Beatles. Euthanasia by Megadeth. Amorica by the Black Crowes. Everything is Everything by Brand Nubian. Keepers of the Funk, Lords of the Underground. The Good, the Bad, and the Argyle by the Bouncing Souls. interesting. Amber by I don't even know who that is. Sorry. You probably didn't have a copy of it. So, The Main Ingredient by Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Shaq Fu, The Return by Shaquille O'Neal. Hell Freezes Over by the Eagles.
I had that. My brother and I had that.
Did you really? Wow.
Swear to God.
Requiem by Bathory. I'll bet Dawson had this one. Crazy Sexy Cool by TLC.
Duh. Are you kidding? Come
on. Tycho by Method Man. Gratuitous Sax and Senseless Violins by Sparks. Bonsai Superstar by Brainiac. That's kind of an obscure one. The Songs of Distant Earth by Mike Oldfield. Dare is a Dark Side by Redman. Miracles, the Holiday Album by Kenny G. I definitely own this record. Dumb and Dumber Motion Soundtrack. Various artists. Nothing Much Better to Do. Hiroshi Fushima. Haunted Dance Hall by the Sabres of Paradise. And My Life by Mary J. Blige.
I got 6.
I had none of those.
What?
You're cooler.
Going through my industrial phase at that point, apparently.
Okay.
Did not have any of those. Last time I we were on par, but that one I just completely missed out.
I had 4 of them. I just counted them. And I don't know why I didn't buy Wildflowers. I was on such a Tom Petty kick back then at that point.
Great Tom, yeah.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Yeah, because I had his previous 3 records. I don't know. Anyway, those are my headlines. So there you go.
Very nice. Smith,
I actually
have any others?
Actually more. This is going to be quick because I just sort of, again, it was all about the headline. Not a substance person, except for one. I'm going to save the last one, my favorite. I do have part of the article I want to read. So real quick, this is from CNN on the November 3rd. Florida's convicted killer clown released from prison. There was a woman named Sheila Key Warren who was arrested in 2017, and I only had the screenshot, but she was a clown. She was a clown dressed up as a clown to kill someone in Florida. So keep that in mind.
Of course.
This one I actually got a kick out of. This is from loudersound.com. According to science, metal is the most intelligent genre of music you can listen to.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I remember you telling me years ago, Tyson, that we were talking about Fink, and you're like, that dude's a great guitar player because he learned on metal. That's kind of what stuck out in my head. Was like, if you could play metal, you can play anything. Yeah. You can play anything, which is pretty cool. So I thought that was interesting. I like science and music.
I don't want to
culminate with a headline.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it, but I like the idea.
And so this was easily my favorite. This happened on Halloween, so rightfully so. Tucker Carlson says demon left him bleeding in bed with claw mark scars. Okay. I want you to listen to that headline one more time. Tucker Carlson says demon attack left him bleeding in his bed with claw mark scars. Okay.
Fantastic.
Now, here is the part of the article that I thought was fucking hilarious. Okay, just listen to this. Asked by his interlocutor. Do you know what interlocutor? That's a new word. I learned a new word today. Holy shit. John Hears, he thought the presence of evil is kickstarting people to wonder about the good. Carlson answered, that's what happened to me before recounting the story. I had a direct experience with it, said Carlson. In the milieu of journalism? No, in my bed at night, replied Carlson. And I got attacked while I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs and physically mauled. Is it a spiritual attack by a demon? Yeah, by a demon. Or something unseen that left claw marks on my side. Let me refer you back to earlier in the article where I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs.
Yeah. It definitely was
clearly a demon.
Amazing.
So I thought that was just fascinating. Tucker was.
If I was his wife, I'd probably take some swings at it in the middle of the night too. Honey, it was that demon again. Sorry. What's all this DNA under your nails? Shut up.
Yeah, I thought that was just.
That's amazing.
Put it together, man.
Dork.
Yeah, that's all I had. That was it.
Those were good.
That was all crazy.
I just have a few. Not to bring up the election stuff, but I'm going to do it one more time.
That's all right.
Just because our favorite viral pygmy hippo, Mudang, predicted that Donald Trump would win. So fuck you, Mudang. I no longer think you're adorable. If you want to see the video,
it wasn't the exit polls; it was Mudang. And I was like,
it was Mudang. Yeah. So if you want to see that, I saw it unfortunately on Unilad, but it's all over the place. So whatever. Screw that little pygmy.
Why would they do that? Cute. Why would they do that to that?
It's mean. It really is mean.
It really is mean.
I don't like it. Yeah. You know, I want to keep thinking that little guy.
Him at least from this. Like, that's what
I'm saying.
You know what? You guys
pygmy hippos out of politics.
Hold on. Did you hear what Mudang said about Latino voters in Midwestern swing states? Did you hear what he said? I mean, just lay back a little bit, all right?
We should have known.
I know.
Baby hippo.
It was all there.
All
right
spread on X. Found out about it on X. We knew. Should have known. X.
I have a funny story to tell you about that later. I was interviewing somebody from Twitter, and I had so many questions. Anyway, I mean X. And then I have a couple more. I don't know if anybody has seen the breaking news that happened today. This is via Stereo Gum. Ray Gunn has retired. If you do not know who Ray Gunn is, he lived under a rock. Yes, exactly. Yes.
I saw the headline earlier.
That, she is breakdancing no more. So
that is fucked up. That is too
Rachel
bad.
Gunn. Thank you for your service. Live well and prosper.
It's not an easy thing to totally just pull one over on the entire Olympics, and
nope, it's not. You did it. I love her. I commend her. I don't make fun of her. I think she was great. It was fantastic.
She said she was had to resort to doing it in her living room with her partner, I think, which made it all the more sad. She's like, that's where she's at now. She's still not. She's just professionally retired, but still doing it at home.
That's good. I mean,
it's good.
And it's unfortunate, but I wonder if ex breakdancers or politicians go get a job in the private sector and get paid a lot of money. Wouldn't that be nice?
Maybe in Australia, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it couldn't hurt your resume. It's like, holy shit, I remember you. Why not owning an Outback Steakhouse somewhere in Texas? I think.
And then my last one this is from the New York Post, and it's so weird and gross, but whatever. I'm mom to 8 dolls. I breastfeed them and take them everywhere. A woman is an adoptive mom to her 8 reborn dolls and breastfeeds them. And the milk that Kelly White, a 28-year-old that really needs some help, is a combination of water and flour that she feeds them. There are YouTube videos if you want to go into that, but it is insane. And I'm sure she voted for Trump too. So moving on. I wish you and your 8 dolls well.
Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I don't want to talk about it, but what does she mean by rebirth dolls?
And that's what I want to know. I also have that question.
I know what it means, I think, in my brain, and I don't want to think about it, but it sounds like I hope I'm wrong.
I hope this distracts everyone from what has happened in the last.
Not to go against your wishes of not knowing, but
you looked it up.
I did look it up.
Yeah, I can tell by your face.
Apparently, a rebirth doll is created for someone who has lost a child, and apparently they will make you a replica of your child. And it doesn't get less creepy.
I mean, the dolls are very realistic and creepy, and you know how I feel about that stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. I was more curious of how she breastfed them. Was that with the substitute, or did she actually I thought
it wasn't with her stuff. It was
okay. I thought
bottles.
I understood ladies.
Yes,
and I still do, because I was a little confused by that.
She could have gotten one of those maternity bras where she sticks the bottle in there and then feeds them that way to make it seem more.
But this woman didn't lose 8 babies, right? She just adopted.
I don't know. She's only 28. So
she's 28. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
so I think
she's been pounding the pavement, so to speak, in that area.
Just very unlucky. And
super unlucky.
Geez. Yeah, that was that, you sent me that article. I was like, oh dear. I was like, oh, maybe things are okay. Maybe I am healthy.
This is the only kind of news I want for the next 4 years.
Absolutely.
For real.
Absolutely. I'm hoping somebody bests her record. I'm like, nah, bitch, I got 14. And I am milking them. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's do some plugs.
Yes.
Should we plug? Tyson, you got some plugs?
Yeah, let's skip the music. I got 2 plugs. I got the record of the week is by this band called Onslow. It's spelled Onsloow. The name of their debut record, at least in the United States, is Full Speed Anywhere Else, and it's available on all your streaming services. They're a band out of Norway. They have it's very power pop, but emo grunge, girl singer, and some exceedingly sharp guitar work. I was very impressed, and the whole record is about 32 minutes, which is perfect. So
nice.
That's what I recommend. Again, the name is spelled Onsloow, so it's a little weird, but Onslow, Full Speed Anywhere Else. And then we finished that book that I was telling you about, I plugged last week, and so the name of the book we started after that was Stuff You Should Know, which is a book by some guys who did a podcast called Stuff You Should Know. Basically, it's 27 little podcast episodes, and it's written by Jack Kevorkian. That's not right. It's written by Stuff You Should Know. Sorry, that's the last episode we listened to. Jack Kevorkian is a weird dude. That was one of the more interesting chapters in this book. An incomplete companion to mostly interesting things by Josh Clark and Chuck Bryant. And it's pretty long. It's like 10 hours, but it's worth a read and or a listen. And those are my plugs.
Very nice. Smith?
Yeah, so I only have one, and it's nor a plug or unplug. I could not tell what was happening and what was going on. So I really need some input on this one. So I was really excited about this TV show. It's on the Peacock, and it is called Hysteria.
Oh, I've started watching
that. And you have started watching it. Okay. Yeah. What the fuck is happening? Because it is all over the place.
It is.
It is. I love the Satanic Panic. Like that's like one of my like favorite time periods in America. I just think it's fascinating. Like I own a couple books about it, and so I was really excited because I think the premise is that like there's like these kids trying to start a metal band, and so they try to lean into the whole Satanic Panic thing and be successful. So I watched the first episode. I'm going to watch it again because I was just like I couldn't tell if I loved it or hated it. It was like it was oscillating between the two.
It's a
narrative. It's like a vibration in my
It's narratively sloppy. So I think that's because it doesn't. Because while a lot of stuff happens, it doesn't linearly kind of make sense that you would put that in order of a television show. I guess but it's still got enough good story parts that, and I haven't watched past the first episode either, but I did like most of it. But I didn't love it, so I was kind of expecting to love it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's got a high school band in it. It's got everything that I love about, it's got like teens, hot teens making out and all kinds of weird shit. And, it's like an 80s movie, but
it frustrated me though. Cause I'm like, am I going to like this or not? And usually by the first episode, I mean, there are exceptions. There's usually shows that I'm either going to stick with, but this one I'm like, I'm either going to love this or hate this thing by the end of it. Like I'm either going to be talking about this for years or, just regretting, like so much else. But no, I would encourage people to watch it just so I can get some more feedback. And Tyson, I'm going to commit to this journey with you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to watch it when I get home. I mean, I think all the episodes are out, so I'm just going to kind of pile through it when I get home.
Yeah. So,
or maybe on a plane. I think I have free Wi-Fi.
They have that technology now. Oh, you got
Well, I mean, it's not.
Well, you know how many bad movies I've seen on the airplane because that's what you had to watch back in the day. So many.
I just don't. I just put my headphones in and just like. But
The
I can't
Station
sleep.
Agent.
I just
Station
pretend to
Agent
sleep
was
so I
good.
don't talk. I haven't talked to anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Smart.
Good
Very
reason
smart.
to bring a book or an iPad. Yeah. Earpods. That's a big win right there. Just don't talk to me.
Pro tip. Pro tip.
You get a talker. Nobody wants a talker. Yeah.
Nope.
That's all I
Ross,
had.
You
That's all I had.
got any pluggers?
That's it.
Pluggers?
I'll find more ways to
I got a
entertain
couple
myself.
plugs and an unplug, so I'll go through these pretty quickly. There is a documentary on HBO Max, the Max, whatever. It's called "I'm Not a Monster." The Lois Reese murders. It's basically about this woman who kills her husband, and then is evading the police for a very long period of time, ends up murdering another person, and they actually interview her. And it's interesting to learn about her background, her story, and her whole family is completely full of sociopaths. So if you're really into that sort of stuff, I would recommend it. Each episode, I think there's 3 episodes, and they're about an hour and a half long each.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's really good. And then there's a documentary on Hulu called Fanatical, the catfishing of Tegan and Sarah. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Did you watch it, Tice?
No,
yeah,
but I
would watch it.
I know about the story. I just don't. I haven't watched it yet, but I will. I like them enough to watch anything that they're involved in. Did you like it?
I mean, I liked it, but I like Tegan and Sarah, and I didn't really know anything about what had happened, but apparently, like, they do a deep dive into someone like in the 2005 to 2010 plus range, that basically was able to get all of their like passport data, like all sorts of stuff. And then they were interacting with their fans and pretending to be Tegan. And so it kind of goes into like who this person could have been. They think they found this person. Like it's interesting, like the way that they investigate it and figure it out. But man, there are some psycho fans out there. I mean, it is kind of scary to see from that perspective, like what they had to deal with as they were rising in the indie rock scene. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. Check that out. It is on Hulu, I believe. And then I watched a documentary on Netflix last night called Martha about Martha Stewart, and I really liked it a lot. I think she's a total bitch, but I mean, hell, she has done a lot in her life and continues to. So, big fan. It was very well done. And then my unplug this week is a movie called Janet Planet on HBO Max. It is a new movie. It was produced by A24. It is a prime example of a trailer being perfect, and then you watch the movie and it all falls apart. Like, it's just I mean, the trailer made me cry multiple times. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing story about a little girl and their mom and all this stuff. And it is that, but it's not amazing. It drags out. There are long periods of time where you're like, why are we looking at this? Like, it's just the plot and the story falls short. So don't waste your time. I did it for you. So
thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
What do you do when you plug the trailer though? If we need to get a good
trailer. If you want to watch a trailer, it's one of the best trailers I saw last year.
That's how I prefer to cry. If it's only got a 2.5 minute commitment.
Hey, that's true. You need a good cry again this week. Like a good cry, not like a holy shit, I'm terrified cry. Just put on that trailer. It's fantastic. Or any A24 trailer.
That's true.
You should just like start scheduling those throughout the day. Yeah.
Can I plug?
Again, we're all working on improving ourselves here. I like it.
Yeah, why not?
Can I plug one more thing? Because you guys will love this. I mean, this is so. And my sister found out about this, and that's how we ended up here. But we went to the Mob Museum in Vegas. I'd been there before. We went there again, partly because this guy Frank Calabrese Jr. has a resident. I know that looks backwards to me, so it probably looks backwards to you. Has a residency there, and this is him, and that's his dad. And he was part of the biggest mob, Chicago mob. The gripping true story of how a son of the most violent mobster in Chicago put his father behind bars, and brought down the last great American crime syndicate, the 100-year-old Chicago outfit. And he spoke for 45 minutes. He spoke for 45 minutes, went down his whole story.
Oh, wow, really?
Did a slideshow, talked about him. Some interesting things about him. He was in the gang with the guy who wrote the screenplay for Casino and for Goodfellas. Goodfellas. And so that guy was in his crew that did the killing. And he also went to jail, obviously. Anyway, and then he was part of the planning that actually was the basis for the movie Casino. And he had a picture.
Oh shit!
The real
Casino.
people, like
it's one of my favorite movies.
Like the real Sharon Stone and like he knew these guys and he knew, and he's like, he's like, in the end of that movie, they find the bodies in the cornfield, but that's not what happened, because when they wrote the movie, they didn't know what happened to the bodies. They actually were beaten to death and choked in a house out in the suburbs near the airports of Chicago. And then they were clumsily buried in a cornfield, and that's how they got found.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Guys,
that's cool.
Is it like a residency for this guy? Like, is he just there all the time?
That's what he called it. He's a residency. And
that's cool.
It was literally, yeah. So, sorry. Yeah.
The book?
So
what was the name of the book again?
Operation Family Ties by Frank Calabrese, Calabrese, Jr. So this guy I was telling you about, I couldn't stop reading the script account by Nick Pileggi, author and screenwriter of Wise Guys, Goodfellas, and Casino. So this guy was in his crew with his dad. His dad brought that guy into the thing, and then eventually brought his son into it. And his dad tried to kill him many times. So like that's how he flipped on his dad. Yeah. So anyway, I thought about you guys the whole time, because I was like, you guys would eat this up.
That's pretty cool.
How is the museum itself? I've always wanted to go to that place, and I've never made it.
It's great. It's definitely worth. You could easily spend 4 hours in there.
Oh wow!
And now that they have the speakeasy in the basement, you can get a drink when
That's
you're
done.
That's
pretty cool.
Nice. That is cool.
And but yeah, they have like, this guy speaks 5 times a day, 4 days a week. I don't know how long he's going to be there, but I mean, well, we bought 2 books, so I mean, he's making money.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
But, yeah. So anyway, I'll probably read this. I don't usually read stuff like this, but it was a pretty compelling story. And my mom, of course, who has a thing for hugging criminals, went up and hugged him, and she was like, "Gotta hug the mobster." She didn't. And then Sally hugged him. So cute.
That is fun.
And then Dad and I just laughed about it. It's like, oh my God, let's not take her to a Taliban town hall or something. Anyway, that's the end of my voice.
Amazing.
I know we're way over. Sorry, everybody, but I thought you guys would like it.
Yeah, I have to go to the bathroom really bad. So always a pleasure, guys.
Yes.
We will survive.
We will survive.
It's been a great episode of Positive Test with the Good Fun Bunch or whatever the fuck we call ourselves.
We're gonna.
Don't make me pee my pants, Ties. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. Ooh, I got an idea.
Oh, you, buddy. There you go.
Love you, buddy. Is this giving anybody a seizure?
It's like a weird strobe light.
I like it.
We're going to have to put one of those warnings on the video. May have flashing lights.